The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your SuperChats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
We have a lot of new reports to react to involving the New York Jets coaching search. Boy Green's going to join me to talk all about it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started. Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby. Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Who's the coach? Who's the GM? Who's the quarterback? At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super Chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go on a Football Friday. Welcome in, everybody. Click the like button and please make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We might be able to hit 41,000 subscribers by the end of the weekend, and I need your help to do it. So click that subscribe button and make it happen. We're presented today by Hugo House. See the hat I'm wearing? There's 6 brand new Hugo House hats available, and now I have a link in the description where you will save 20%. Forget 15%. Use the link directly in my description box, and you'll save 20% off your order on any items in the Hugo House store. So check it out. Get the hat I'm wearing, the hat that Aaron Rodgers is always wearing, and countless others. HugoHouse.com. Use the link in my description box. Let's say hello right now to the great Paul Boy Green Esden Jr. Happy Friday, Paul.
Happy Friday, Jakey. And I just saw seconds ago the Jets announced they've completed an interview with Josh McCown for head coach. So we got Uncle Joshy, we got Jakey. It's a jam-packed Friday here on the Jake Asman Show, baby.
I like it. All right, so Josh McCown obviously interviewing today. It's now officially happened. They already announced, of course, the interview with Brian Flores and the interview with Jeff Hafley, who, for those who don't know, is the Packers defensive coordinator. So 3 interviews in the can today for the Jets. And Adam Schefter earlier was on the Pat McAfee show, and this was Schefter talking about McCown and also providing an update on Jets coaching target Aaron Glenn.
Josh McCown's going to be in Minnesota next year unless he gets a head coaching job.
Okay, let's stay in Minnesota. Ty has a question for you.
Unless he gets a head coaching job.
Is that possible or no? You think Josh McCown high up on some lists?
Yeah, well, no. Listen, you know, if you remember a couple of years back, he was
Texans
very much in the discussion in Houston, and then the Texans went a different direction. So, and I think Josh McCown's going to be a head coach one day. I don't know that it's going to be this year or next year or the year after, but I think he's going to get a chance at some point in time. And look, if we're going to be honest here, the interesting thing about this whole cycle right now, and I've said it to you before, I said it to you this week, I'll say it again, Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson are getting head coaching jobs. They're getting head coaching jobs. The interesting part is the other 4 jobs.
Got it.
That's what we need to pay attention to here, because I don't know that we can say with any clear-cut certainty who candidate number 3 is. Who's the 3rd guy after Glenn and Johnson? Those guys are getting jobs. There's 2 of the 6. Who are the other 4? Is it Robert Saleh? Is it Brian Flores? Is it Josh McCown? Is it Joe Brady? Like, who? Is it Mike McCartney? Is it Jason Witten? Is it Deion Sanders? Like, there's a lot of guys out there, but it's going to be a question of which organizations prefer which guy. The only 2 guys I feel confident right now in saying they're getting jobs are Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn's going back to the Jets, right? That seems like the very easy selection.
I think Aaron Glenn is in play in New York. I think he's in play in New Orleans. I think he's in play in Las Vegas if he wants. So there's a lot of people, there's a lot of places that I think Aaron Glenn will be interested.
So in that 2-minute clip, Adam Schefter says a lot there, Paul. We'll start
Mhm.
with the McCown aspect of it because that's where the clip started. So there's been a perception, hey, I'd love Josh McCown with the Jets, but as the OC, not as the head coach with that little experience, you could, according to Schefter, rule that scenario out. So meaning if Brian Flores is the head coach and his OC would be McCown he's bringing with him, not so fast as Adam Schefter. So your thoughts on that and what that means for McCown's candidacy going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off with Flores, to be honest with you. Bluntly, that makes him a lot less appealing that he can't have Josh McCown back on the other side. That seemed to be, in theory, the perfect compliment to Flores is he's a former head coach. He brings this great defense, but what would be the offense? Oh, Josh McCown. Okay. It would be a promotion. Quarterbacks coach in Minnesota land would be an OC here. So the fact that that's no longer on the table, candidly, makes me reevaluate Brian Flores on my list because, man, he would need a really – I'd have to find out who is option number 2, who is the other guy that he would want to bring in for sure. So he would be that's a big one there on that. So now it's up to the Jets, who they just interviewed Josh McCown for the head coaching position. Are they willing to dip their toes in the water and make a freaky hire? Because you just heard that from Schefter too. We all know Ben Johnson's getting a job. We all know Aaron Glenn's getting a job. But how about the other 4? Would Josh McCown be one of those surprise names potentially that gets a call up, but now no longer going anywhere else outside of Minnesota? And it's hard to blame him. He's got a great situation there in Minnesota.
There's apparently an echo, and I believe the issue is on my end. So, Paul,
Okay.
good thing you're a radio host. I'm going to have you talk about whatever you want to talk about for 30 seconds as I fix this issue. Stand by.
All right, beautiful. All right, here we go, baby. I'll talk more about the Adam Schefter report, and there was even more there. Adam has been adamant that it's not just Aaron Glenn's job with the New York Jets, that there are other things in play here, the New Orleans Saints and Vegas if he wants it. To me, I think it's very clear. Aaron Glenn wants a Jets job. If they're willing to offer it, bing, boom, bam, nothing else matters for the New York Jets. If all those teams offer a head coaching position to Aaron Glenn, it is the Jets' job to have. It is the Jets' job to have, 1,000%. I don't give a shit what New Orleans offers for Aaron Glenn. I don't care what the Raiders offer. The Raiders' job stinks, man. I don't know why so many people are flocking to that thing. So I think if all 3 of those teams offered Aaron Glenn a head coaching position, he'd take it. So Schefter covering a lot of bases there, and he's done that for a little bit on this Aaron Glenn stuff. It just feels like he's off on that.
Checked. Is this thing on? Hello?
Yep,
hello?
you sound great. No echo,
right.
I don't think.
All right. Well, to those saying that there was an echo, hopefully we fixed it. As far as Glenn goes, I heard the end of that, Paul. Schefter mentioning the Saints. We already knew that. The Titans, actually, not the Titans, but the Raiders.
Yeah.
The Raiders. I don't see him going to the Raiders. I really do think if Aaron Glenn's a head coach, it's between New Orleans and the Jets at the end of the day.
And I agree that it's Saints or Jets. But if both offer the job, I think he's taking the Jets and not thinking twice. I know he played his final year of his career with the Saints. I know he spent a couple of years there as a DB coach, but his ties with the Jets run far deeper than his ties with the New Orleans Saints. So to me, while I guess technically it's between those two, to me it's all Jets, baby, and all they have to do is offer him the gig to me, and then again he's going to be the next HC of the NYJ.
You bring up Brian Flores, and now I really need to know who his OC is going to be. If it can't be Josh McCown, because you're right, Flores was a big part of, this candidacy that just of the candidates they've spoken to, because for whatever reason they won't talk to John Gruden, Pete Carroll, or Mike McCarthy now. Don't get me started on that nonsense. But Flores to me was the best experienced candidate that they've now interviewed. So I need to now know what his plan is for offense, right? I need to know what his OC plan would be, because that was his issue in Miami, and you felt like, oh, he's got McCown on board, awesome. But if it ends up being Ryan Grigson and Brian Flores with no McCown, you're not going to have a ton of Jet fans that are very confident in that.
I would imagine not. Like I said, when you did the video on Connor Rogers talking about what the group could be with Flores and Josh McCown, or a Sam Darnold or a J.J. McCarthy, some sort of crazy operation, that's really exciting. That's scintillating. but not knowing who that again, maybe I'm overreactionary here, but that gives me major pause on pulling the trigger on Flores anymore. With knowing that Josh McCown is not even anywhere near an option for his staff at all, I'm like, oh boy, I'm pulling out. Again, AG is my number one. So that doesn't affect the Flores placement as it currently stands. But Flores was still very high on my list. He was inside my top 5. But without the McCown news, I think he dropped significantly because that was just the other piece to the puzzle. Jet fans, as they all know, the offensive piece is so critically important. The quarterback development plan is critically important, and not having that piece of the puzzle is a hard pill to swallow here. So, again, Brian just interviewed today, so I hope the Jets asked that question, and hopefully he provided a good enough answer, because once we start getting those finalists of people coming around for a second whack, if Flores comes around for a second opportunity, I have to imagine he answered that question very well for the New York Jets on what his staff looks like.
If you're one of the 463 people watching this live on my channel right now, click the thumbs up button. We're also simulcasting the show on Paul's YouTube channel, so make sure you guys like the video on his end, and make sure you guys subscribe to Boy Green's channel for daily Jets content. Subscribe, like, help your content creators continue to grow. Now, there is some news that is not Jet related, but it does impact the Jets. The Tennessee Titans are the first team to actually hire a GM during this offseason. They are hiring Chiefs assistant GM Mike Borgonzi. So Borgonzi, who was a Jet candidate, he interviewed for the Jet job. He's Borgon. He's going to Nashville as the next GM of the Titans. He was someone I was intrigued with if they were going to go first-timer. My preference is still Thomas Dimitroff among anyone they've spoken to, and there's been 15 people they spoke to. But your thoughts on this news, Paul, because Borgonzi was connected to the Jets as a slam dunk top consensus candidate if they were to hire him.
Yeah, I won't lie. I have my top 5 right here that I wrote up and did a show on this week. Borgonzi was number 1 on the list based on everything that we had heard about him, about doing all these different roles with the Chiefs, him biding his opportunity for the right chance. So the Jets losing out on him really sucks. Now, the good news is to your point, the GM list that they've interviewed is awesome. I really love the GM list. The other guys I have in my top 5, I'm really excited about. And the good news is they're going to get one of these guys. The Raiders and Jets are the last ones looking for a GM. I'll be honest, I'm surprised. But Borgonzi, who's waited forever for a job, has bided his time. He picks Tennessee. Okay, they have the number 1 pick, but the class looks a little sideways, if we're being honest with ourselves. They don't have an immediate quarterback plan. He's kind of shackled up with a GM that's not the GM, but kind of ran Carthon out of town, and he's hanging around there. He's attached to a head coach. I didn't think this Tennessee job was all that attractive, to be honest with you. So that one was sort of puzzling, that this guy, Mike Borgonzi, the assistant GM of the Chiefs, was perceived as one of the top candidates available, and he took that Titans gig. Again, candidly, I didn't think the Titans job was that good, so that sort of surprised me.
Maybe he loves Broad Street in Nashville. It's a lot of fun.
There you go. I guess so.
I mean, the division's not great. You do have the number 1 pick. Maybe he thinks Shador or Cam Ward are awesome. It's weird, though, because you don't get to pick your head coach. You're inheriting the head coach in Brian Callahan. I don't know. And also, maybe he preferred the Jet job, but the Jets haven't even started round 2 yet. And he's like, I'm not turning down a chance to be a GM when I have no idea if I'm going to get the Jet job.
Yeah, that's the part that's been I don't know what the delay is from the GM perspective. They finished – what's today? Friday. So, yeah, they finished their GM interviews a couple days ago. In terms of the first round, outside of a surprise name joining us, John Eric Sullivan and Brian Gain were the last 2 to speak with the Jets, and that was supposed to be the last of the first round. And then you got to imagine, with all these interviews, the Jets have taken notes on all these guys. Like, okay, we want to move forward with this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Okay, now let's start planning immediately these second interviews. And the fact that hasn't happened yet, I'm not really sure why the Jets are dragging their feet. I get it. There's not a lot of GM openings, so they had some benefit of time, but they just potentially lost a guy. They lost a guy at least they talked to. We don't know how much they wanted Borgonzi, obviously, but I don't understand the dragging of the feet there at GM, and hopefully the Jets pick up the pace, because the Raiders sound like they're certainly doing that from the GM perspective. So I want to make sure the Jets get their guy, whoever that is. Hopefully it's one of these top-level guys. Thomas Dimitroff is high on my list. Brian Gain I like a lot. Alec Hallaby is the assistant GM with the Philadelphia Eagles. John Eric Sullivan I like a lot. And the other one that I tweeted about that Albert Breer mentioned too, he's one that's kind of a sneaky name in all of this. This is the assistant GM for the Washington Commanders. His name is, I have it in front of me, Lance Newmark, who has spent a ton of time in Detroit. He'd be a natural connection with Aaron Glenn as a potential HC GM combination there as well. So, yeah, the Jets need to pick up the pace. It is kind of shitty that we have a team. The Jets had the heads up on everybody. They fired their GM in the middle of the season, yet we're having other people like jumping in and hiring people. You know, I want the Jets to get it right, but man, it's this timing is very strange.
Look, I have no issue with them not hiring Borgonzi. I just would like to see some second-round interviews be scheduled, like be reported on.
ASAP,
Like the fact that they've interviewed 15 people, I remember saying on Monday, I felt like we were going to get scheduled second-rounders by the end of this week. We're now hitting the weekend, and we have nothing planned for second-round interviews just yet. And Monday, you could start talking to coaches in person. You could actually bring McCown into your building or Flores into your building. And you'd like to have a GM, I'd imagine, in place so they could be a part of those conversations when that happens. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not panicked over losing Borgonzi because I want an experienced GM anyway if they're going to hire a first-time coach. But, you know, he's a good candidate. But I will say this. If he blew them away, I don't think they would have interviewed 10 people after they already spoke to him, you know?
Well, you have to hope so, is the only response you have to that. So, again, I don't think we all have to overreact like, oh, no, this entire search is over and the Jets have blown it here. But I won't lie that Borgonzi was an incredibly attractive GM candidate for the New York Jets to potentially consider, and now he's off the board. So hopefully, if the Jets weren't already kind of foot in the ass about it, that now they pick up the pace here. Because the fact that they haven't even scheduled any of these interviews yet, like, hey, don't worry, it's coming tomorrow or the day after. I thought we were already going to be at that level of the process here. So that part surprised me, unless we're going to get a surge of activity here over the weekend.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Gift channel memberships to be entered in our raffle for a signed Joe Klecko jersey, signed Garrett Wilson helmet, and a Super Bowl III Joe Willie Namath replica championship ring. We got it right here. Paul's got one. If you want one, enter our raffle for your chance to win. It is awesome, and we will do it next week. Every $20 super chat, you get 5 raffle entries if you're on the phone and can't gift. That's another way to get in. Ray Jr. starts us off with this. Thank you, Ray. Jets have cap space and talent. Saints have no cap space. Raiders have 0 weapons. Jets are way more attractive job than it's given credit for. Prefer Glenn or Flores over McCown. I got to rethink Flores if McCown's not coming with him. That said, I still think he's a good candidate, and I like Aaron Glenn as well. And I do think if it came down to what does Aaron Glenn want, if he had all 3 of those jobs offered to him, I think he'd pick the Jets. I really do.
Yeah, I would push back on Raiders 0 weapons. Brock Bowers, that guy's pretty good. So obviously he's a weapon in the mix there for the New York Jets. But yeah, the Saints are
Brock Bowers.
I heard that one in my head too, which is great. And obviously the Raiders don't have a quarterback. So, the Jets are in an incredibly attractive place. I get it, the ownership, and that weighs heavily for more people than others. But the Jets should be able to get some pretty attractive people in here.
Someone just gifted 10 on your channel, Paul. Austrian Jet fan. That's a big number.
There you go. We love to see it, baby. Here are the 10 new members to the Boy Green Coffee Club. Shout out to our number 1 Austrian Jet fan here. Stephen James, 1189 Paris. Chris NJ75. Vern. Stack. Dom Rec. Matt P. Infrared Jets. JT. Mr. Roberts are all a part of the family, baby. Booyah!
Unbelievable. Fantastic. Matthew gifted a channel membership. Devin gifted a channel membership. Both of you are entered in our raffle. Boom. Aria with a super chat. Give me Josh McCown, a head coach, Brian Game at GM. Lions mock for the Dan Campbell hire, but they needed a crazy outside the box hire to break their curse.
That's an interesting, again, I like Brian Gain a lot. It doesn't seem like, for whatever reason, the public does, or Jet fans like Brian Gain a lot. Again, I would highly recommend looking into his background. He's a Bill Parcells guy. That, to me, is incredibly exciting. Josh McCown, again, that would be aggressive, but, I don't think you're going to find a lot of Jet fans who hate Josh McCown. They're going to like the guy, what he represents, the respect around the league. That would be a progressive hire by the Jets, which obviously could fail miserably, but it could work out really well. Getting a quarterback in here in offense, that's going to be a hard thing to complain about for Jet fans, and I like the aggression.
Look, McCown is an intriguing candidate. I just feel like the Jets, in a spot where they haven't made the playoffs in 14 straight years, should not necessarily be rolling the dice and taking that big of a risk. It just doesn't, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense.
No.
Like the Steelers could take a risk on an unknown candidate named Mike Tomlin when they're the Steelers and they have that infrastructure to fall back on. The Jets need proven commodities. And look, Aaron Glenn's not proven, but he's a better candidate to be a head coach than McCown is, even though he's a defensive coach. So I still like Brian Flores because he's been a head coach before, but I just feel like there's such a risk if you hire a guy who's been a quarterback coach for 2 years. That's his only experience.
I mean, if I'm Aaron Glenn, I'm pretty pissed if the Jets hired him over me. Again, that Aaron Glenn has made it very clear that he wants the job. I'm sure that would make him very angry. And I'm sure, as some of these other guys apparently were burned during the process, the Todd Munkins, the Cliff Kingsburys, I don't know if Aaron Glenn ever interviews for this job again if he doesn't get it this whack around. And to your point, Aaron Glenn just feels like he has the right temperature, leadership perspective, the proper path of player to scout to coach. Like Josh McCown's resume, I mean, we have to be honest, is light. So yeah, that'd be crazy, especially now with everything that we've been through over all this time. We hear all this, experience. For them to go in that direction would be a zig instead of a zag. That's for sure.
South Philly in the raffle. Chris Grasso in the raffle. Sound the alarms. Jimmy Jets gifting 10. Sound the alarms. This is on Paul's channel. He's making money, baby.
All right, here are the 10 over here. Gangrene Catskills, O-Rocks Games, RS, Oscar the Grouch, John D. Lee, Jets Fan for Life, This is Los, Racing Jason, Howie from Jets HQ, and Jeffrey R., all members of the Boy Green Coffee Club. Thank you, Jimmy.
South End with a super chat. Watching the losing Jet season with Boy Green. JETS, suck. Boy Green daily.
Oh, making fun of the Hep song. Hep had a beautiful song earlier this season about watching the Super Bowl season with Boy Green. JETS, Jets. Come on. That's a classic, baby.
Man, Hep is a talent. It's a shame that it was wasted on the Jets.
Yeah, that's true. And hey, it sounds like he's got his camera working for your channel, so that's good. Yeah, he's been having some issues on StreamYard.
Yeah, Hep figured out how to call back into the show. It's nice to hear from him.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, he's a good dude. He's good people.
Fiore checks in with a $10 super chat. Bang! Fiore, are you Paul Fiore on Twitter? You guys have similar takes. I'm assuming that's you, but I just want to confirm that. So let me know in the chat. Woody and the Jets haven't earned the benefit of the doubt. The process is slow and looks unfocused. GM should be done by now. Hire the GM so we could hire the head coach. Thinking is not overrated. I mean, if you want to criticize the Jets, I think it's fair. They had the first GM opening in the NFL at the end of November, and the Titans have already hired a perceived top candidate that you also spoke to. So I would just like to see the Jets pick up the pace on getting a round 2 set for GM candidates, because I want the GM hired because I want them to have a role in hiring the head coach.
I'd love to see him in the room. It seems odd to exclude them, and what would you be excluding them for by not making them a part of that process? It just seems to make sense. You've already talked to 15 candidates. It seems like the first round's over. Like, let's go. Let's get those people talking. Let's get them in, because I want, as does every Jets fan, we want the GM and head coach on the same page. Just because they're hired at the same time doesn't mean they're on the same page. So I'd love to see them in the room together being interviewed, and hopefully that happens at the beginning of next week.
Nick writes in, Jake, you say it's rolling the dice, but when a McCown-led team is lighting up the league, you will regret it. What does Glenn do for our offense? I mean, do we know Josh McCown is going to be lighting it up for another team? I don't know that, Nick. He's never been a head coach before. He could be in over his head. Also, being the coach of the Jets is different than being the coach in another market. Like, you're the coach of the Jets. All the scrutiny, spotlight, pressure from the media, the fans that comes with that. Is he ready for all that? I like McCown as a human being. I love him as an OC. But is he enough of an a-hole to be able to hold guys accountable and not be everyone's friend like Saleh tried to be? And like Ulbrich was even worse at that. You know, that's Those are the questions you have. What does Aaron Glenn do for the offense? I mean, Aaron Glenn essentially said he's not just going to coach the defense. He's not just going to coach the offense. He says he's a coach. This was Aaron Glenn a couple days ago.
I mean, Bill Belichick is a shining example of a defensive coach who won Super Bowls, but typically it's offensive coordinators. They come from the offense who become Super Bowl head-winning coaches.
Yeah.
Why do you think that might be? Is there...
Well, I don't know if that's truly accurate. I can just go off the top of my head with Bill Carr, Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick. That's won a ton of Super Bowls as a defensive coach. And here's the one thing that I would say about myself. I'm a coach. I just happen to be on defense. I understand the offense just as well as a number of people. So if you're going to hire me, you're going to hire a coach. You're not going to hire a defensive coach. I'm going to talk to the offense just as much as I'm going to talk to the defense.
It's a great answer. We'll see if that ends up being the case if he's the Jet head coach. And one other clip I want to play in response to that comment from Nick. Here's Ben Johnson, the offensive genius, talking about Aaron Glenn.
People about Aaron Glenn.
Shoot, I think I told you guys this last year. He is beyond qualified right now. You hear all of our players singing his praises right now, and that's exactly what I would do. I would second that. I mean, he is more prepared to be a head coach than maybe anybody I've ever met. He wants that. And I think he's doing a phenomenal job in charge.
You believe him?
I agree. I agree. And by the way, you mentioned there that Aaron Glenn answer was an awesome answer because a lot of people are questioning the defense, saying, hey, man, you're just a defensive guy. What's the offensive plan? And then he says, I'm a coach. I know about offense. How could he not? He's a defensive guy that prepares for the best offenses in the National Football League. Of course, he knows how to combat and compete against those things. So to me, he is ready. He has been waiting forever. Now, ultimately, none of us know if you're truly ready until you're thrown into the spotlight. It's coordinator roulette, as Joe Caporoso said a couple of weeks ago. It is. But, man, I would love to put my money on AG as our next coach.
Ladies and gentlemen, more of your super chats here. Amid writes in, what about Kellen Moore? I'm surprised they haven't requested him, Paul. I know the Cowboys are going to talk to him. He's done a good job in Philly. He's been a successful offensive coach in this league for a while now. Former player. I don't know. I'd like to see them interview Kellen Moore, but they didn't even request him.
Well, that's the same for Liam Cohen. A lot of these because it seems like that Woody didn't do the presser before the search, so we didn't get some of those juicy answers of what he exactly would be looking for. But I imagine young offensive minds or experienced offensive minds in the right circumstance, and Mike McCarthy, cough, cough, would have made a lot of sense as someone to talk to. So Kellen Moore, Liam Cohen, an older guy, and Todd Monken, there seemed like all these kind of options that they didn't explore. So, yeah, that one to me is a little bizarre too.
AZ Frankie says, is there a way we can get Glenn and McCown? Now, if you caught the beginning, Frankie, that is off the table. Aaron writes in, how soon do you think this GM hire will be named for us? I don't know, man. I mean, I would have thought they would have had second interviews scheduled, and maybe by early next week we'd get someone hired. Now, I don't know what the timeline is.
Yeah, again, I will to repeat the same thing you said. I thought the hire was going to happen at the end of this weekend, somewhere in the Saturday night, Sunday range, and then be a part of those in-person interviews on Monday. But obviously, they haven't even started, at least publicly, the second round interviews yet, which is puzzling. So obviously, if you didn't start the second round interviews, that pushes it, especially since, depending on if they're eliminated from the playoffs yet and whether or not you could do those in person. I mean, we're just kind of kicking the can down the road. So my answer is totally up in the air now, but hopefully it's within the next 5 days, if I'm going to put a number on it.
Jay checks in. Glenn's the man for the job. An ex-player that wants to be here, get it done. Hey, look, Aaron Glenn's a really good candidate. You just, you never know. Brian writes in, can we compare modern-day Glenn with 2000s Rex? I see a comparison there. I prefer Glenn right now. I mean, I'm taking Aaron Glenn over Rex at this point. I mean, Rex's answer when asked about his coaching staff was, I don't know, but it's going to be the best staff. I love you, Rex. You've been out of the league for 10 years, though. That can't be your answer. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That was a shit. I can't believe, because Rex is such a media savvy guy that I thought he would have some sort of answer that got us revved up. The answer being, it's going to be great. You can't wait. Like, who gives a shit? Hire me and we'll figure it all out. Well, I need another step before I hire you. So,
I mean, maybe he had a better answer in the actual interview, not a radio interview, but like, I
hope.
One of the reasons why I was more open to Rex than probably most in this space was, I'm sure he's learned a lot. I'm sure he's watched the Lions. His son's an offensive receivers coach on that team, and he has all these ideas, and he has coaches that he's lined up if he's going to try and pull this off. And that answer was just like, yeah, I don't know, but I'm going to hire the best staff. Like, no, Rex, I need to know what your plan is if we're going to hire you after no one else is even interviewing you for any of these jobs.
And part of the reason that Rex, I think, really kind of went crazy is because there was so much Jet fan support that existed. So if he gives a great meaty answer, while that's not the same as whatever real answer he gives to Woody, if he gives a good answer, me, you, other Jets contractors like, holy freaking crap, that's the perfect answer. Rex has learned. Like, let's go. But when he gave the shitty answer, I think that's where a lot of us took the foot off the pedal, like, okay, maybe never mind. That would have been, I think, his chance to really rally the troops and perhaps put some outside public pressure, because it sounds like Woody Johnson listens to us on the old social media there, Jakey.
We know he listens to Michael Nania. That is for sure.
That's true. You just
Your
had him
arch
on the show
nemesis,
this week.
Paul. Your
That's
arch
right.
nemesis.
We'll figure that out eventually.
I saw a comment from listener Jake, and he goes, so close to 41K. I checked. Right now I'm at 40,966 subscribers. So if you're watching this right now and you haven't subscribed, I think you're a communist. I don't even want your subscription. Yeah. Forget it. Forget it. If you haven't subscribed by now, you're probably a communist. I don't want you anyway. But if you're not a communist and you want to redeem yourself, please subscribe to the channel. Hey, shout out to Barbarossa for gifting a channel membership. Appreciate you, Barbarossa. Let's see. Tyrone checks in. With my 50 years knowing the Jets, I'm not feeling too confident in this marathon of interviews with Tannenbaum at the helm. Prayers, hopefully they get it right. Go Jets in 25. I'm not casting judgment on whether or not they made good decisions until we see what the final decision ends up being with GM and coach. But I do think we need to move forward with second round of interviews now that we've interviewed 15 GM candidates and we still don't know who's progressing forward to a second round.
The thing I saw, I'll have to double check. It wasn't Zach Roseblatt or Diana Rossini. It was someone else in the Jets tab on The Athletic, said that there is a path for Rex or Rick Spielman to continue to work with the Jets long term. Like if they hired a first-time GM, that Tannenbaum could be either in some sort of role in the Jets front office or be helping coach them and manage them. That, I was like, whoa, I thought this 33rd team was going to be a one-stop shop, but the Athletic seemed to indicate, again, it wasn't one of the normal Athletic writers that I read for the Jets, but they said
so it wasn't a hit piece?
That it could be. Yeah, I guess not. It wasn't a hit piece, but I'm sure that would rev up a lot of fans seeing Tanny back. So there you go.
For the record, I'm talking about Diana and not Zach. Zach, I'll leave it at that. Rick Kent with a 5 spot of channel memberships for the people. 5 entries for Rick on this show. Rick, I saw your super chat on the other show after the fact in the comments. That gives you another chance to get another 5 entries. So Rick Kent, baby, making it rain.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
I'm also going to be fully transparent with all of you. All right. I'm going out tonight. I could use some spending money. Make it rain memberships, baby. Let's go. Joe Klecko jersey is on the line, and a signed Garrett Wilson helmet. We'll do the raffle early next week or mid next week. I got to count all the memberships and get that set. You guys are going to love, by the way, Asmaniac raffle number 13. We have a signed Garrett Wilson jersey that was donated by a great listener for me to use for an Asmaniac raffle. So that will be part of our 13th raffle. Let's stick to 12 right now. Grand prize, Garrett Wilson signed helmet or Joe Klecko jersey or replica Super Bowl III ring. Shout out to Rick. He gifted 5. Let's see. 5 from Rick Kent. I was going to get the names here, but it's not loading because YouTube is the ultimate pain in my ass today. I don't know. If you got one from Rick, just thank him. He's always supporting the show, and we appreciate him for that. Story Lynn checks in. Why haven't they hired Rex? What's the big holdup? Story Lynn is a master troll, Boy Green. So would you like to say anything to Story Lynn before we send his rear end to Stupid Town?
See ya. Population you, bro.
Farewell. Big fella, super chat, cuts the line. Hopefully we hire Aaron Glenn as coach so we can teach Sauce and the rest of the secondary how to intercept the damn ball. I will say this. I was watching Aaron Glenn jet highlights the other day. That guy made plays, man. I'd love to see Sauce play a lot more like Aaron Glenn next year. That's for sure.
That can't hurt. Aaron Glenn, a interception fiend. Look at his stats. Look at his highlights for people that didn't get to enjoy the Aaron Glenn era of Jets football, man. That could only help having him in the same room as Salsa, pulling him aside and having some of those conversations.
100%. V-Man in the house. I like that Glenn has been a part of fixing the Lions. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to like about what the Lions have obviously been able to build. But, it doesn't mean that Aaron Glenn's the next Dan Campbell, and it's going to work the same. You still need to have buy-in from a GM. Ownership's got to stay out of the way, all that.
Wait, whoa. You're saying it's not guaranteed to be the same Dan Campbell thing here, Jakey? What? Huh?
Unfortunately, it's not.
Oh, well. No.
Devin, super check, cuts the line. The more I hear about Aaron Glenn, the more I lean in that direction. I bet he keeps AR as well. My guys love this Friday spot. All the best. Devin, always appreciate your support. Do you think Aaron Glenn would want Rodgers as his quarterback? That's interesting.
What an impossible question to because we have no idea. He hasn't had personnel control. We've seen quarterbacks that the Lions have operated with, like Teddy Bridgewaters and Jared Goff. To be candid, we have no idea. I'm not sure. I think again that he's going to run into the same thing of everyone else. Okay, here's Aaron Rodgers here. Do we have someone who's better to replace him? Not so sure. And then, even if we don't have someone better to replace him, can my Aaron Glenn aura and Aaron Rodgers aura coexist? That's a question he has to answer for himself. So to be honest, I don't know. But, hey, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be an option for a lot of these guys outside of very specific scenarios with certain coaches that you think that he'd probably be gone with.
Jimmy Jets, I believe you already gifted on your channel, and now he is dropping a membership reign on this channel. Boom! 5 raffle entries for you, Jimmy. Thank you for supporting the show. All right, more super chats, and then we'll mix in some calls, as we always do with Boy Green here on a Friday. Aaron writes in, do you think a poor defensive performance in the playoffs for the Lions would concern you with Glenn? I'm for Dimitroff for GM. No, Aaron Glenn, what his team does in the playoffs will have zero impact on his candidacy at this point. And I think it's silly to judge a candidate on a one-game sample size anyway, because also Aaron Glenn, his job is not to call the defense for the Jets. His job is to be the CEO, leader, head coach of the Jets. So it's a different role altogether.
That's true as well. And then think about what this man has been dealing with. And so far, he's been thriving. He thrived when he had Awesome Town around him. And when he's had shitty, just insert random guys, he's had success. But if the, straw broke the camel's back and all of a sudden all the town he had suddenly wasn't operating, I wouldn't blame Glenn like, oh boy, I'm having second thoughts about Glenn. That'd be wild. But the Dimitroff stuff, I think me and you, Jake, have talked about here. Thomas Dimitroff would be awesome. He was with the Falcons from 2008 to 2020, drafted Matt Ryan, drafted a left tackle, drafted a Hall of Fame receiver, division titles, Super Bowl team, playoffs. I mean, come on, man. Thomas is I know he got interviewed like 1,000 years ago. He's like the first of these 15 interviews, but I hope he's in the top 5 finalists.
I mean, do you think he's checked in at all and is like, guys, did you forget about me? It was over a month ago they spoke to him.
Yeah, I know. I'd be sending a follow-up text or call as they're getting ready for these interviews, because some people believe, because he hasn't been in the game, NFL anyway, he's been doing his Sumer Sports stuff, which I've done interviews with his company before, so I'm aware of his company, but he hasn't had an NFL gig since that Falcons one. But yeah, if I'm him, I'm sending a "you up" text tonight to the New York Jets to make sure that they're still in this thing.
How about this from Pittsburgh Mike? Jake, you missed my super chat. No, I didn't, Mike. I'm going in order. You're next. This league is all about winning. Any head coach that comes in here is going to want Rodgers. Don't see a single candidate willing to roll the dice on Tyrod. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I'd have to think. Obviously, Rex would have. Rex would have ran it with Tyrod after the Aaron Rodgers Country Club stuff. I think he would have went with his boy Ty Gad. But no, I don't think everyone's a slam dunk for it. Again, I think another thing is personality. I think if a guy came in that didn't have a strong aura around him that could be overwhelmed, the Aaron Rodgers thing could be overwhelming. That thing could overpower them if they don't have the right moxie. But if you're confident in your own skin, that's why I thought Vrabel would have made a lot of sense. He's a very confident guy, it appears, by all facets. He's his own man. I think he would have been able to control the Aaron Rodgers thing the best that you could control, for lack of a better word, the Aaron Rodgers thing. I don't think everyone's going to be in that boat.
Breaking news. We already hit on it that it was trending that way. It's now official. Borgonzi has agreed to become the Titans GM. So the deal is done officially.
All right, there you go. Yeah, there was some weird wording there. Hey, it's done. Then, well, they're going to talk about putting it together. I'm like, what the? It's done, right? Hey,
You know what I think that was? Hey, we want you, but you're not offering enough money. Hey, Jets, make us an offer. We'll see if we can get the price up. Yep.
Yeah,
but the Jets are like, we're taking our time. We got to interview 15 more GM candidates before we can even think about it. God.
That's right.
Brian checks in with a $20 super chat. That is 5 raffle entries as well. Brian, I'm giving you one of these. Misunderstood my question. Not hiring Rex right now. Comparing the 2000s hiring of Rex to a possible Glenn hire now. Similar intangibles. I feel like the kind of guy who could turn the team around, but Glenn better. So you're saying what Aaron Glenn represents is what Rex would represent to the Jets in 2009? I don't know. I think the Jets in 08 were a really good team that had the Favre injury and they collapsed and they fell apart. That team was more veteran-led. Like they had a lot of vets that were kind of leading the way on those teams, guys that have been in the league for a while. This team is a younger team. A lot of the vets who we talked about, like Reddick, Mike Williams, Tyron Smith, these guys are all gone. Lazard, they're not going to be here. So I don't see it as the same type of hire. I think there's similarities in that they'd be elite defensive coaches stepping in to be first-time head coaches, and they have ties to the Jet organization if you consider like Rex's dad was an assistant on Weeb Eubanks' Super Bowl III staff, but I don't know. I don't think it's the same thing, Brian.
No, again, it was that injection of life. That's what I would say. Eric Mangini was obviously a certain kind of guy. And when Rex Ryan came in, like, boom, I'm not kissing people's rings, it woke up the Jets fan base like, holy shit, look at this guy. And he just brought a different vibe. The Saleh to Glenn, it would be different, certainly, but I don't get the same Mangini to Rex Ryan jump. But again, they're both defensive guys. They're both fiery. Rex Ryan, obviously, in a class of his own. And again, I don't just judge the defensive thing. It's what Jake said this entire time. He's a coach, not an offensive coach, not a defensive coach. He's a coach that's going to oversee the entire operation.
FPP super chatted on your channel. Yes to John Eric Sullivan. Does he intrigue you as a GM candidate?
Yeah, he's inside my top 5. Obviously, he's been with the Green Bay Packers for 21 years. They are the kingdom come of quarterbacks from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. Obviously, they're doing something right. I hope he bottles up whatever the hell that is if he comes over here. And there were some other whispers, Jake. I don't know if you've seen it. So John Eric Sullivan apparently is only interviewed in 2 places, Tennessee and the Jets. And the guy's name, Brian Gutekunst, he said, best wishes to John Eric Sullivan. And a lot of people went, so he's gone? And now that the Titans have hired Borgonzi, he's like, does he know that he's going to the Jets? So there's some rumors about that right now.
Interesting. I did not see that. I did see this. 10 memberships from Mimosa McNearney, who is one of the most generous and supportive as Maniacs, and she's a member of the 4% female demographic. Let's go.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
Mimosa wants that signed Klecko jersey. I could feel it. 10 raffle entries. Jonathan Opp, Steven Gonzalez, Anthony DeRise, Italian Stallion, Cantu Renige, Alfredo, Sco, Sean, Bill Fawn, Mad Willie, all receiving channel memberships from Mimosa. Mimosa, thank you as always for your generous support of the program. More super chats now, shall we? This one from R&R. Jets X Factor has an article that we might be hiring Sullivan as GM. Yep, there you go.
No.
V-Man, okay, which one of you is going to make an Aaron Glenn highlight video to the song Coming Home if he gets hired as a head coach? That is NYJ Matt's bit on Twitter. We'll let him do that.
Yeah, 100%. I will step back and allow NYJ Matt to do his job. Yes.
C writes in, AG, part of a terrible Kotite team, and watch Parcells change the culture. Seems to be a true leader of men. Bring him home and change the culture. I actually really do like that he was here pre-Parcells and saw that and has been with Parcells and stays in touch with them and was part of this Lions turnaround that everyone's trying to now use as the gold standard on how to build your team. So I think that does make Aaron Glenn a very attractive candidate. I agree.
Oh, that certainly doesn't hurt. It's cool to see him with the lines now. That's a great point, C. Not a lot of people have brought that up with a coach tied to Parcells' era flip. He knows what it's supposed to look like. I think that's the best thing you could say about him, and why. Again, it's coordinator roulette when you bring these guys in. None of us know exactly how they're going to translate, but the things that make sense is he's seen it, how it works with the Bill Parcells in that era. He's seen it, how it looks with the Dan Campbell, and he can do his own thing in his own way when he gets that HC opportunity.
Oh, my God. Do you smell that? I smell something. Mike D's Nuts goes, I want that Klecko jersey. You know what that means. Mike.
Hey, now.
You about to drop your you-know-what and give some memberships? Try and get some entries? Uh-oh. Be on the lookout. We might have a Mike D's Nuts explosion, Boy Green. Be careful.
Mm-hmm. Hey, now.
C with a super chat. Oh, I already read that one. Oh, we're up to Gators super chat here. Jets, you should consider Rob Saleh for head coach. Great DC. And unlike Glenn, actually has head coaching experience. Plus an ex-Jet, pretty much what the fan base wants.
I'm just, maybe I shouldn't be. Robert Saleh has had 3 head coaching interviews this cycle. Cowboys, Jaguars, Raiders. Is he about to get a head coaching job in 2025? Shoot, it seems like it. That's crazy.
Look, I hope he's the Cowboys head coach just so your dad explodes. And
I saw that bit the other day. That was hilarious.
Man. And also, here's the thing too, right? Like, Saleh, he's aged the best out of anyone associated with the Jets because he got fired at 2-3. The team fell apart, and people forget that he was not a great coach to begin with. He's better than
20 and 36,
sure, but he's not. I mean, let's be real on what Robert Saleh was as a head coach. He had the Jets were undisciplined with him too. It wasn't just Ulbrich.
And by the way, the Jets host the Dallas Cowboys, Jakey. So Robert Saleh, we could welcome him back to MetLife Stadium next season.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we have right now is an explosion of all explosions. We have a Mike D's Nuts explosion.
Bang! Thank you, Mike D's Nuts, for another gifted membership.
20 channel memberships for Mike D's Nuts. That is 20 raffle tickets for Mike D's Nuts. And that also gives me full liberty to do this. D's Nuts. All right. Hell yeah. And then also this.
Is this Mike D's Nuts?
You bet your ass it is. Here we go. I got 20 names to read. And when you get that many memberships, I need my rain sounder. We're going all out here. There we go. Memberships galore. And you know when it rains, you need a Gustbuster umbrella. Here we go. Dylan Terraman, Spin to Ben, Dan Philcox, Derek Q, Ricky NY, Jet fan since birth, the P-word assassin. Not saying that full name on this show. GOA, Astro is off the chain. Roe, M30, Clancy, Lenny Malice, Joseph Rivera, JT, Justin 79, Pat Rich, O-Rocks Games, FP Kuraz, all receiving memberships from Mike D's Nuts. But wait, there's more. Is there another 20 spot from Mike D's Nuts? Is this real? It is real. Mike D's Nuts, another 20 memberships. Holy crap, we are exploding with raffle entries. And you know what? I'm playing it. Screw it. Hit it.
Bang! Thank you, Mike D's Nuts, for another gifted membership.
Oh my God. KB, Don Reck, South End, Sorry Not Sorry, Remy, John LG, Kyle Smith, Xavier Bradley, Boring Sober Guy, Venom AD, Shadow Round, Keem Brown, Adrian Flores, Ross Kate, Elton B, Coops, DM95, Indy Jets, all receiving a channel membership. Mike Bruno, this is unreal. Thank you, Mike D's Nuts, again for 20. Rick Kent is in for 20. Are you kidding me? What do we do? I know what we do. We keep reading names. We keep reading all the names. But first, we sound the alarms. Oh, my God. Wow. All right, it's raining again. We will get back to regular scheduled programming shortly. If you want a membership, you better make sure you're subscribed. Everyone's getting one these days. KB, Don Reck. So my computer, Rick Kent broke my computer. This is unbelievable. Who else got one here? Everyone in the chat has a membership. Danger Zone, Morning Woody, Monica Nigrin, Rasta Dread, Tyrone Garcia, Brian J, Anthony Kubinski, Jay Sands, Bobbleneck, Uno Jets, Skinny D23, Patrick Cahill, Jay Mull, Stacked, Ali Shafri, Gary Pape, DYSL Studio, Amir Landon, Zara Young, Mark Moose, all receiving channel memberships. Unreal. Also, wow. I don't want this to be forgotten, but he did kind of get cucked by Mike D's Nuts and Rick Kent. 25, you're in the raffle. 4-5. Thank you very much, my man. Appreciate that. We'll give you the horn. We'll give you the little siren here. All right.
Beautiful.
I'm out of breath.
And by the way, a shout out, I guess, number one Austrian Jet fan with another 5-pack over here. Pacono Jet, Dean Paparella, Mongo Horse Punch, Thai Wrapper Recipes with Reed. It is raining everywhere, baby.
Hit it. If you didn't get a membership yet, you're probably a communist. That's the only way I could say it. There's no other explanation. Let's see.
Goodness.
JT
Another
writes
10.
In.
Yeah, wow.
He says, Ken return the favor on mobile, so here's the next best thing. Thank you, JT. That's on Paul's channel. That's Super Chat. C real quick writes in, what if Tannenbaum hires himself as GM? Do you think there's any chance that happens? Because I don't.
Again, the only thing that has, I don't know if changed my mind, people, Connor Long, he's watching on both of our channels, I guess. Mike Sando is the one that wrote the Athletic piece that says Tannenbaum has like these plans or possibility of staying with the Jets after this 33rd team. So I thought that was a joke when people talked about it earlier, but apparently that could be a thing depending on the GM hire. So I guess that's not crazy.
I guess not. By the way, you're right. Austrian Jet fan, man. He's just making it rain on your channel. 10 spot. Boom.
Here we go. Charleston Jets Rube, EJ, Dan the Jets fan 21, Bill Gates, Mute Vials, Julio Kelly, James Cafiro, TJ Bregg, RP and CT, Fonz Sanchez. Wow.
Let me just say this. One of the smartest things I've ever done was stop putting actual physical raffle tickets in a bucket because it was taking hours upon hours and just putting it in my phone, ChatGPT, organizing the list, giving me a document file, and throwing all the names in a wheel of names. Thank God.
I thought it was bold when you said, I'm getting a bucket. I'm getting wrapped. I'm like, holy shit, Jake is doing it better than me. I said, wow, this is impressive. I did not go to that level, so I respected the gameplay. Yeah.
It was it was taking hours upon hours. It was ridiculous. Holy shit. Jimmy Jets, where'd you win the lottery, man? Boom, 20 on Paul's channel.
Wow. Good Lord. The reading must continue. For the culture, Daniel Nazario, Michael Stepek, Clint Alexander, Regan Darcy, Carson Frederico. Look at all that. Oh, my God. This is a healthy amount of action. So shout out to Jimmy. And he also broke my YouTube because those are all the names that are currently coming through. Good Lord. So, wow, it's breaking all over the place. The internet is broken.
Yeah, not great, but you know what? It's all good. Raffles are worth it. We'll take it. Rex Ryan's in the house. Hey, Rex, have you figured out your staff? Leader of men. Let's get McCown. All right, so Rex is waving the white flag, apparently.
That's
Rex,
great.
If you're recusing yourself from the coaching search, I think it's only right if we maybe play this for the final time, if this is truly the end of Sexy Rexy as the Jet coach.
Oh, yeah. You know what time it is. You tried to throw him away, but this man's coming back. Sometimes he's fat or thin. That waistband makes him slim. He's got the fix you need. They call him Sexy Rexy.
Fuck Gruden, he's no Jet. I'm here to crack some skulls. I'll turn these boys to men. This team is stacked with pros. Hire me, you won't break your purse. I'm here to break the curse. They call me Sexy Rexy. Fuck all you naysayers.
Ooh, sexy. Ooh, he's sexy, Rexy, sexy. Ooh, he's sexy, Rexy, sexy. Ooh, he's sexy, Rexy, sexy. Ooh, he's sexy, Rexy.
I'm going to miss it.
I will too. Anyway, thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Get the memberships. Paul's time is limited, so we're not going to be able to get to everyone on hold with him, but we'll do our best to squeeze in as many as we can. Then I'll take some more, but I am going to the Knick game tonight, so it's not going to be a 3-hour show. as I have to cheer Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo in their return to MSG. Vicky with a super chat real quick. What do you think about the Pokey Wilson signing? Any thoughts on this? Because I got nothing for you.
Amid the Jets search, who's going to be the head coach? Who's going to be the GM? The Jets are like, damn it, we got to get Pokey Wilson in here. Former Jordan Travis teammate, Pokey Wilson, former Chargers receiver, undrafted free agent last year, played in the CFL this past year. We got a wide receiver, boys. Move over, Garrett Wilson.
I didn't even know who this guy was. I thought it was fake at first. And I'm like, Phil Savage still making moves. Good to see he's keeping the lights on at One Jets Drive right now. Because all these interviews I like are at Woody's place in Palm Beach, right? So I'm like,
that's true, right? So he's holding down the fort at One Jets Drive. Yeah.
Someone's got to keep the lights on, pay the bills. Phil Savage making moves. Good for him.
Wild.
Rick says DiVincenzo not playing tonight. I know, but they're still gonna have a tribute video for him, Rick. So that's what I meant by that. Randall is playing though.
Tribute video for Julius Randle?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
There you go. Okay, nice.
Someone let me know if Cat is playing tonight because I'm not able to check that as I'm doing the show. Yeah, I know he was questionable. Let's get to some calls now, shall we? Let's start off with one of our more knowledgeable callers and our youngest callers all at once. Connor Long is first today. Hello, Connor.
Jake, BG, how you guys doing?
Whoa, look at that lettuce.
Connor?
Yeah, whoa, what the hell's going on? You want to break the hat train? What's going on?
Sorry, I forgot to put the hat on today.
You have a bowl cut? What type of haircut is this?
What's going on here? Does that go all the way around?
Look, you don't want to get bullied, Connor. We're going to have to fix this, all right? I'm worried about you in high school.
Oh, no, it's not a full bowl. I mean, there's certainly some bowl quality there. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys having me on as always. You guys mentioned Phil Savage, and that's one of the points I wanted to get into. I mean, Graziano, Fowler have been pretty vocal of never rule out a potential in-house hire, whether it's bringing Ulbrich back for the head coach job, which I think is a complete joke, or potentially, having Savage remain as the GM. What are your guys' thoughts there?
Phil Savage as the GM, I think, has no chance. Do I think he has a chance to be on the staff and the front office? Yeah, I do. He's got a ton of context around the league. He's been a GM before. Maybe if it's a first-time GM, they'd want to keep Phil Savage around because he has intimate knowledge of the current roster, and that could help. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Phil Savage sticks around, whoever they end up hiring.
Now, you guys,
if he just real quick, if he was the GM, I'd fall out of my seat, like straight up permanent GM. But he's been a GM before. I saw him. He was taking pictures with Connie at the Hula Bowl. So obviously, again, he's keeping the lights on at One Jets Drive, doing all that kind of business. He's a good senior person to have in the room that you can bounce ideas off of for sure.
Now, and then you guys spoke about the Packers GM saying, about Eric Sullivan, he'll be missed. Something I noticed that's really interesting is he interviewed for the Titans job. Borgonzi's there now, and the Raiders requested to interview him, but nothing was ever scheduled. They never completed an interview or anything. So it remains as if the only GM opening that he's actually interviewed for is the Jets job. So I've been thinking him as a potential logical name for the next GM. Something I noticed, he's been with them since 2004. All of his experience as an executive is with their organization. When I was reading into him when they first interviewed him, something that caught my eye from Albert Breer was that he was the first scout to put Jordan Love on their general manager's radar, and he also he's also done some work with the salary cap along with playing a role in the search that landed Matt LaFleur, as head coach. So it seems like although his most of his experience comes as a talent evaluator, he seems pretty versatile.
Although the big jump will be from no owner in Green Bay land, wow, this is nice, to Woody Johnson, Madden ratings. Oh, Jesus, who is this? So that might be a bit jarring for the young man. Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, I appreciate you guys having me on. And one last thing, Boy Green, the Sando piece, he had Arthur Smith becoming the Jets' next head coach, and that was what Graziano had as well the other day.
What is the fascination with Arthur Smith? He was not good as a coach his first time around. He wasn't. There's nothing about Arthur Smith that screams, yup, you got to give this guy a second chance over Brian Flores, who actually went 10-6 and 9-7 his last 2 years in Miami with subpar quarterback play.
Yeah,
Arthur
I will say
Smith
this.
is supposed to be an offensive guy. He did not lift any of the quarterback situations in Atlanta. And okay, give him the tip of the cap for what he was able to do at Pittsburgh before it all collapsed like a used lawn chair. But what are we doing here? Stop the Dan Graziano, Mike Sando, put them all in the shadow realm, stupid hole, idiot town, whatever we've got here, shove them in there. No, God, no.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Arthur Smith. One thing though, the one positive is when he was the coach in Atlanta, they were one of the least penalized teams over 3 years. That's the that's the only thing. I mean, 3-7-10 seasons. I just don't guess what's appealing there. Yeah. I mean, the Jets had it in 22 and 23. Why wouldn't you want it for another season? It's Adam Gase 2.0 in the fact that he's an offensive mind with head coach experience. And also, the Jets were in deep talks for hiring him in 2021, like they were with Adam Gase in 2016. So there's that there. And they also had talks with him this past offseason about bringing him on the offensive staff in like some sort of consulting role. Anyways, I'm not a fan of Arthur Smith. Give me Aaron Glenn, Brian Gain, offensive coordinator John Morton, defensive coordinator Dennis Allen, special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi. That is the dream right there. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Now that is a staff. Connor, make sure you get a haircut. I don't want you to get bullied, all right?
I appreciate it, Jake.
Connor Long, check it in. I actually like that coaching staff a lot, right? You got a former head coach in Dennis Allen as your DC. Rizzi's a really good special teams guy, was the intern in New Orleans, knows Aaron Glenn. And his OC was John Morton, who was the best OC the Jets have had since Schottenheimer, if you think about it.
And we never knew what we had until it was gone with John Morton, which is sort of funny. Yeah, that'd be a stud staff, man.
Yeah, that was a good take by Connor. If they hire Arthur Smith, though, God help us. Like, honestly, I don't love Matt Nagy, but Matt Nagy at least could point to the fact he went to the playoffs twice with Trubisky as his quarterback. Arthur Smith was bad as a head coach. He has not done enough since that first stint to be like, yep, you clearly got to hire him again. If they hire him, like, if you hire Arthur Smith over Mike McCarthy, there's no justification for that. If you're going to hire a guy who's been a head coach before on offense that is out there, that you interviewed one of the previous times you needed a head coach and didn't hire him, it should be Mike McCarthy, not Arthur Mother effing Smith.
Why do people in the maybe they're just doing it to troll us, Jake? Dan Graziano's, Mike Sandoz.
Well, we know Graziano hates the Jets and everything. So.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Why do people keep saying Arthur Smith? Like, I keep hearing it from people, not like important people, but still, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. See, he'd be on the list of absolute guys I'd rather burn in hell. I absolutely not.
I think I'd rather spend 24 hours with Allen than the Jets having Arthur Smith as their coach. Okay. Yeah, you can't do it. If you're watching live right now, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Paul's going to run, but Paul, plug your channel to everyone watching on my show.
Yes, sir. That is Boy Green Daily. It's live every single day at 7:30 in the morning, so you guys can tune into that. We had Sean Merriman on this week. We have other big guests that we're working on behind the scenes, which should be a lot of fun as well. So, again, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, baby. And, guys, keep the raffle tickets coming. Jake's got some badass gifts. I'm jealous. Look at all these. I mean, I'm trying to jump into these contests. Joe Klecko jerseys, a freaking Garrett gosh darn Wilson helmet, and then another Garrett Wilson jersey to come. Don't want to put an action before the horse, the cart before the horse at the action. I'm not sure how that works, but either way, look at all these gosh darn raffles. I mean, Jakey's killing it over here.
Boy Green, appreciate your time as always, man. Thanks so much.
Catch you next week, Jakey.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. He's live every day at 7:30 a.m. Every day. I'm like, do you ever sleep in? Are you like, I feel like starting at 9 today. Let me give myself an extra 90 minutes. Nope. Every day. I don't know how you do that. I can never get the show to start on time. Half the time my guest is late. Half the time the technology messes up. Half the time I forget what time the show's supposed to start. And he's live every day. It's unreal. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy is unreal too. Mike D's Nuts. When was the last time we had a D's Nuts explosion like this? This is unreal. Mike, thank you very much. I'm going to give you some sounders and all that, but there's a clip we got to play that is perfect for Mike D's Nuts. And I love getting a chance to play it.
Bang! Thank you, Mike D's Nuts, for another gifted membership.
Let's go. Thank you, Mike. 10 names from Mike. Dorian, Peter, Lawrence Yance, Jets Runny, Smoky Cat 9 Lives, The Power, Jet Life, Rob Bavilion, James Kennedy. Let's go. Mike D's Nuts definitely wants to win the Klecko jersey. You could feel it. You could feel it. He wants that Klecko jersey bad. I might have to say I could buy another one with the amount of memberships we're getting here. But we're definitely auctioning Klecko and the G5 helmet, and I got some great giveaways for the one after that. So stay tuned for that. If you don't win, there'll be more. It's a way to say thank you for your continuous support of the channel. All right. Try and get to as many calls as we can in about 20 minutes or so. Hep is up next. What's up, Hep?
Hey, how you doing, Jake? You know what? I got to see Aaron Glenn play, and he was a great player, man. And if he brings that fire to coaching, we're gonna be in good shape. It's when I look for a coach, I look for someone who's a chess master, a poker champion, and a motivator of men. And if you have these three qualities, and a little bit of luck, then you have something. The only thing is that Brick becomes the next coach. I think I'm gonna have to get off football for a while.
He won't be.
Yeah.
He won't be.
All right, thanks, Jake. See you later, bud.
Hap, I appreciate it. Look, if they hire Jeff Ulbrich, you thought my reaction to Arthur Smith would be insane. You know what I should do? I there's no video of it, but I was doing a radio show on SB Nation Radio at the time when the Jets, when it came out, they were hiring Gase. I should find that segment. I went nuts. And this is like a much younger version of me going nuts. This was 2019, but I still went crazy on the air. More of your calls right now. June, the GM, is up next. Oh, what a hat he has on. What's
Hey,
up, June?
listen, I appreciate it. Just came in. I took it out the box. I said, woo! Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I told you I was going to send you it, man. You deserve it.
Thank you, man. Hey, listen, that young kid, Connor Long, he's like the young Brent Musburger or something, man. He's on fire. Listen, so I'm changing my whole perspective on the head coaching job. Because now that Bergonzi got hired in Tennessee, our Jets need to move quickly now. I'm afraid that, let's say Sullivan becomes GM. Who's to say he likes Aaron Glenn? He might like Hafney. You know what I'm saying? Who's to say that whatever GM gets the Jets job likes Aaron Glenn or even likes Flores? So I think right now my focus is who's going to be our GM, and then I want to try at least, to try to connect the chess pieces, because it's premature for us to keep screaming Glenn or Flores or anybody else. When the GM is in place, I think then we'll be able to see clearly who might be the next head coach.
Maybe you're the GM, June. You got the name. You
got
the name
hell
there.
No, I don't want that. If that's my first job, not the New York Jets job. No,
you're connected to Aaron Glenn, though. You'd hire him.
I'm fine. No, I'll pass.
You are right, though, June. They got to get a GM hired first. Now, for what it's worth, Borgonzi had no connection to Aaron Glenn. So if Glenn is the Jets guy, it's not like, oh, Borgonzi's gone. There goes. Like, no.
Right.
So
Right.
we'll see how it plays out.
Right. I'm hoping, I know as a wild card, I like the kid Hallaby, and my second choice is definitely Chris Spielman because he's a culture changer. I know he don't got the experience, but I like him. But let me throw this out there too. Don't be surprised if McCown gets the job. I don't know what it is. His charisma, that pretty blonde hair he got going on. Don't be surprised.
No, look, he's more intriguing than some of the other candidates, that's for sure. But I think what it comes down to with McCown is he able to dominate the interview and overcome the clear lack of experience he has compared to some of the other candidates? If they feel comfortable with that, then yeah, I could see it. It's not the craziest thing in the world. If the Jets hire him, they're telling you, we think we found the next Kevin O'Connell, next Sean McVay. We found the next great, innovative offensive guy who we also believe has the leadership qualities to lead the whole team. Now, do I think it's risky? Obviously, but that would be what their thought process is if they make that move.
And to tell you the truth, with our history, everything's risky when we're talking about a head coach for the New York Jets, right? I mean, we've probably missed 90% of the time. The last time we had a good head coach was Rexy for a short period of time. Before that was Parcells. So God forbid if we get it.
Herm was pretty good too. I mean, they made the playoffs 3 times.
I forgot. I overlooked Herman at Resist. I like Herman. But it's always each good one we go to 3 bad ones. So I'm just hoping anybody though, but Arthur Smith.
Yeah, I agree.
Anybody but Arthur Smith.
I agree. Jim, great call, man. I'm glad you got the hat. That came fast, man. I think I ordered that. What was your call last week? It was like last Friday. I think I ordered your hat on my way to the Nick game from my phone. So I'm glad it came in a week. That's sick. How about this from Michael? Michael Schroeder's like, I want in on the membership.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, man.
He's got 10 raffle entries. Dr. V-Man got one. So did David G. Dre, Florida Man of Culture. The lovely Sarah down in Australia is a channel member now. Shane Daniels, my brother, Zach Asman, Joseph Baresi, Alexander Brown, Funky Monk, all receiving channel memberships. Same with, there might have been one more in there. I don't know. But anyway, Michael, I got you down for 10. Thank you very much for your support. Michael Gonzalez with a super chat. Jake, no confidence. Woody will get GM and coach, which will take us on the right path. I'm liking Glenn more and more. Michael, there's nothing I could tell you that should make you feel like you should have confidence in the Jets. They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. All we could do is evaluate their process, who they've talked to, what would make sense, and we'll see what the end result is. If you told me they have Thomas Dimitroff and Aaron Glenn, I'd be excited. If you told me it's Lance Newmark and Aaron Glenn, I'd be excited. I'd be interested in that. I would prefer one of these guys to be someone with experience. Like if it's Brian Flores and a first-time GM, that makes sense. Or if it's Thomas Dimitroff and Aaron Glenn, that's my, I think, dream GM coach combo if we're going to go first-time coach. We'll see. More of your calls right now. This guy gifted a membership earlier. He's on the line. Barbarossa. What's up, Barbarossa? Happy Friday.
What's going on, Jake and the Asmaniacs? Cheers. Happy Friday, y'all.
Cheers to you. I got my Bobby Midnight glass here, my mug.
That's beautiful. Handsome man right there. I'm going to be so I want to just echo that sentiment. If we get Arthur Smith, I'm just going to be so disappointed. He's just so boring. It doesn't even have a good name for a coach. I really just don't like anything about it. And I like look at just Aaron Glenn seems to be the best candidate we have available now. And he just seems like a tougher guy and somebody that I think I'd want to be coached by. I don't know how you feel about that.
I like Aaron Glenn a lot. He has never been a head coach before. Remember, Saleh was the top candidate in 2021. I played the clip. Everything I just said when they hired Saleh on this show, we're now saying the same thing about Glenn. So you're just never going to know. Like, I'm not saying that means you can't hire Aaron Glenn. Like, the Bills hired Sean McDermott after they got rid of Rex. It worked out fine for them. Like, you got to just get the right candidate and nail it. That's the bottom line.
How much cap space do we have in this upcoming season?
It's going to depend on what they do with Devontae. If they cut Devontae, they add an extra 30 right there. But if they bring Devontae back, what's his number at? What do they do with Rodgers? Right now, the Jets don't have a ton of cap space. With a couple moves here or there, they have a lot more than most people realize.
That might be more attractive. That might help to make the job seem more attractive. I think that's something to be easier to work with for a GM, especially.
Potentially, yeah. We'll see what happens.
All right. Cheers, guys. Take care.
Barbarossa, happy Friday. Great call as always. Let's keep rolling with the calls. Say hello right now to the Hamburger who's next. What's up, Hamburger?
Good afternoon. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
So, I don't know, man. I'm starting to feel uneasy about this whole general manager search with the 33rd team. I don't know. I kind of feel in a way now that we're kind of getting played a little bit. They're building their resume. They're filling their Rolodex with names and guys that they're interviewing for down the road, which I don't have a problem with. But now that teams are starting to hire GMs and we haven't done a second interview, it's starting to bother me. It's starting to make me feel uneasy about it. I don't like the process at this point. How do you feel about that? I mean, I don't like it at all. I don't feel sure about it.
Real quick, just some UFC news that's New York related. Chris Weidman, Pride of Long Island, just announced his retirement from UFC. No surprise. I had Weidman on my show right before the UFC card at the Garden when he was supposed to fight and he got scratched, and he said he could still fight for a while, and then he lost his fight after that. So no surprise, but one of the best ever to come from Long Island. He just called it quits. So that just broke. As far as your point, Hamburger, I don't love the process either. I would like some second interviews to be scheduled. Let's go. I'm also not going to freak out over Borgonzi, though. Like, we don't know what he is. Joe Douglas was the top GM candidate, too, and we saw how that worked out. So we'll see.
I don't think that I'm freaking out that Borgonzi got hired, but it's just that we haven't done any second interview yet. Now we're starting to hear that what's his name wants to possibly take a role with the Jets from the 33rd team, like Tannenbaum. I mean, it's starting to stink a little bit to me. Who knows?
If he's the director of football ops with a GM under him, I don't mind Tannenbaum being involved, but I don't think it's a good look for him if he ends up being involved after he's the one who orchestrated this search and said he didn't have any interest in the job.
Exactly. That's why, to me, it's like a little Fugazi. I don't know. It's starting to irk me a bit. I have zero faith in this organization. So no matter who they hire, it's gonna take some winning to bring me back to believing in anything. But
I hope Spielman is like in that role, right? Spielman maybe is the director of football ops, and then there's a GM under him. Like put Spielman with Mike Greenberg, for example, and then there's your power front office.
Well, tonight, for a tough week, salute to you, Asmaniacs.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Hamburger. I had a hamburger last night, Hamburger. I was thinking about you. It was very emotional. The ultimate pot stirrer is on the line. The dean of Ted U. NY Jets Florida is up next. Hello, Ted.
Jake, good evening. I'm taking a break from Ted U for a semester. I'm going to let Jay Quest and Seat Breaker take over for a little bit. I mean, Beast Breaker. Hey, Jake, I really think the Aaron Glenn thing may take a while because if I was Aaron Glenn and I could pad my resume with a Super Bowl championship, I would wait that out as a negotiation tactic. How much more money would he be getting as a Super Bowl winning DC?
I don't think it really would impact it as much as you think. Like if the Jets are waiting to hire Glenn, right, and he's coaching in the Super Bowl, we'd already know that he'd be their guy. Like I don't think him winning the Super Bowl would add that much more money to his pocket. They'd be at that point probably the only team left waiting for a coach, and we'd all connect the dots knowing, oh, they're going to hire Glenn. We're just waiting for the Super Bowl to be over. It'd be leaked out.
Maybe. I hear you. The Spielman would if they wanted Glenn, I mean Spielman, would that be announced if they wanted Spielman before the Super Bowl? I mean, say the Lions go deep in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Okay.
Borgonzi just got announced as the Chiefs or as the Titans
Okay.
GM. The Chiefs are playing tomorrow. So yeah, you could hire a GM with written permission from the team before the season ends. You can't do that with a coach. Like if the Jets wanted to officially hire Aaron Glenn, they're not allowed by NFL rules right now to do it.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. That's all I had. I just kind of thought if I was Aaron Glenn, and I understand maybe his job openings are limited, but I would want to wait and play and bet on myself, and see. Not that you're going to gouge the Jets, but maybe you would be a little bit more valuable at the end, just to sweeten the pot a little. Just my thought.
Hey, do me a favor. Go like this. Stir that pot. Stir it, Ted.
All right.
Stir the
I will
pot.
do it.
Yeah,
I
Ted,
will do
you
it.
baby. Stir in the pot.
Have a good evening.
What are we stirring next? What show are you stirring later? You go on Bobby's show? Stir the pot there?
I don't know. I've had a crazy work schedule, so I might sit back and I let the pot stirrers go, Jake. They just spawn themselves on these shows. They just spin like tornadoes.
You caused a huge issue, man. You teed Bobby up to go off that one day. Listen to the subtle comment that Ted threw out there to stir the pot and get Bobby Midnight going.
Well, I'm staying on. I don't give a crap for that.
How much Jets content do we really need at this point?
No, he said planning on going live around 5:30. Oh, a lot happened then to discuss. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, a lot. Yeah, no, I'm staying right here. We're going a long time. Alan is here. Alan, how you doing? I told you, do not give him any more money. If he's going to continue to throw you in the hole, do not give him any money. Treat him like shit then.
You got Bobby to go off, and all you had to say was, how much Jets content do we need? And you said that on a day the Athletic bombshell story came out, as if there wasn't a ton of things happening with the Jets, Ted. You really stirred it that day.
Well, I'm not responsible for other people's thoughts after I say something. Let's just say that it's you put something in the ether. What is it called? Ether. And you let it go.
Well, I'll tell you what.
So that's how it goes. Yep.
You saying that did give us this incredible moment, so all's forgiven.
Shut up, Dave. I can't stand Santa Claus. Shut the fuck up, Santa Claus. You fucking eye. Oh, look at my eye. Oh, look at my eye.
You seem like you're in a good mood and ready to go for 20 more hours.
Yep. Hey, Chris Kringle got tarnished this year, so what can I tell you?
You're a pot stirrer, Ted. This is the first time you called in since that incident. I had to bring it up to you.
Okay, Jake. Appreciate it. You have a good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of Ted U, the Dean. On that note, I know who we need to check in with now immediately.
I do agree with you. He's the pot stirrer, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's the pot stirrer, and he denies it right in front of your face.
Of course. He's stirring the pot.
Great.
We know what he's up to.
And let's go next.
That's right.
And who's coming back, you said?
Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah, I miss him. I do miss that guy. And both of them. I miss both of them. They were good last year for us, right? because we had a lot of injuries, right? And they helped out.
Yeah, I
in the
mean,
playoffs.
Dante only played 1 year, but he had one of the more memorable shots in Knicks playoff history.
Yeah.
And Randall made the All-Star team 3 times as a Knick. He was an awesome Knick. You know,
And
and he
did he
helped
get
start this
hurt by
turnaround.
stupid Embiid, the guy who goofy walks around the court and gets
No,
everybody hurt?
he got hurt a year ago against the Heat. He landed on his shoulder at the end of the
Okay,
game.
who did dummy land on our guy and he was hurt? Remember
Mitchell
last
Robinson.
playoffs? Oh, right, that's him. Well, he's and you, like you said, Connor's gonna be up there going fast, and then he's gonna suppress us. I'm telling you right now. I love that kid.
Oh yeah,
he's a great kid. Yeah, I'm happy.
Mhm.
I did take my picture, so we gotta take another picture on Tuesday. Nick said so. Weigh-in is on Tuesday night at 10 o'clock. Okay.
All right.
So I did give him this.
Mike,
week's
go ahead. What do you got for us?
I just want to say hi. I got my tattoo, but I gotta go in like a second.
Show us the tattoo.
I can't. It's all bandaged up.
So, what was the purpose of this call?
I want to say hi.
Okay, well, thank you, Mike.
He's a
Call
friendly
back
guy.
with your tattoo.
He's like the guy on the taco commercial. Taco Bell.
He sent me a picture of what his tattoo was, and I thought he was going to show it off on the show, so I was excited, but we'll wait another time.
They have to put something on it so it doesn't get infected.
I see. Bobby, what's for dinner tonight?
My usual. I already had it though.
You already had
turkey.
dinner?
Yeah, I ate before your show came on.
Butter sticks?
Turkey with little barbecue sauce and cooked with butter.
All right. Enjoy it, all right?
I already had it, I said.
I
So that guy on your 2 o'clock show, what's his name? He's a fun guy.
Cole?
Yeah. Gator says, oh, he doesn't change his shirt like Bobby does. That's funny. Yeah, I don't change my shirt sometimes.
You just don't shower. When
We
was the
don't
last time you took a shower?
I don't know. Thursday evening.
You haven't showered since Thursday? You probably reek. Oh.
He stinks.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta be disgusting. Gross. At least Bobby has showered. Good call, Bobby. Mother effing Chew says send Connor to the hole for his Smith take and hair. No. We'll get the hair thing straightened out. He doesn't want Smith. He just brought up the one stat about the penalties. I won't do that to young Connor. Curly says, where has Scott Duckman been? Arrested for robbery? I don't know. I haven't heard from Scott. Maybe he has been arrested. Jersey Joe, David T. call. I need positivity. Look, Jersey Joe, sometimes I do requests, all right? Not always, but sometimes. And for you, I'll take a request.
I got my Iron UG. I hope you like my Jets take. You know they call me David T. It's not easy for me to see. Sometimes when I have a few drinks, I slip and fall and break my face. Not that my vision was bad enough. Now I have this dull shit scar.
Oh my God, I love it. My scar is talking. Hi, Jake.
David, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I let me just first say, when the Knicks have home games, and you put your show on in this time slot, it's perfect for me. Because then after your show's done, I might put the news on a little bit. But I have the NBA pass, and I get all the Knicks games, so I'll be able to watch a game.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
You probably can see the Knicks more than a lot of people in New York can right now that have Optimum, because no one can get the Knicks if you have Optimum.
Yeah, it's really weird how all that stuff has transpired. It's all above my head. Be quite honest with you.
The scar looks good, David. It looks like it's healing.
Yeah, it is healing. It's doing fine, thank you. But that was a great add to the intro. I loved it. Oh, and I want to thank Bobby because if it was, I wouldn't be as well known if it wasn't for that take that you clip that you played when he hates Santa Claus and David, but my eye, my eye, my eye, my eye. That's famous. So it kind of gives me a little bit of credit. And I won't hold you on long, but Connor Long and that June guy, very knowledgeable. But Aaron Glenn, well, Connor said about, like, if I heard him right, the coaching staff, he possibly could bring people that he worked with from the Saints and maybe Detroit. The general manager thing. It could be a dumb question or whatever, but I think you kind of answered it down the road. Dimitrov, the whole experience thing. You're bringing in a new head coach, and boy, the guy's got all the experience in the world and the resume. But if you're interviewing, like, say the Jets know they're going to hire Aaron Glenn, and they're still interviewing for GM. I mean, are they trying to get a sense of if this person can work with Aaron Glenn? I guess it's almost impossible.
We're gonna see. I gotta figure out what their plan is for the second GM interviews first, and then you can kind of connect the dots to which guys might want Glenn, have worked with him before, have ties to him. It's really tough because we don't know who's getting a second round yet. And meanwhile, Tennessee's already hired one of the guys the Jets interviewed that was thought to be a top candidate. So I really would hope that tomorrow I'm doing a show talking about, hey, report Jets are set to speak with these people next week in person to move forward in the GM conversation.
But in closing, Bill, you gave me peace of mind when you said about Dimitrov and all the experience and everything. When it gets down to the nitty gritty, I guess you can't beat that with a stick.
I'll tell you what, the only thing that can be beaten down is us as Jet fans. So I would like to not do any more beating and instead do some winning. That'd be nice.
Oh my God, that's all our hope. That's our hope.
Well, I'll tell you what, David, you have a hell of a night. Enjoy the Knick game on TV, and I'll play you out the only way I know how. You ready?
Yes, sir. Enjoy the game.
I got my Iron UJ. I hope you like my Jets take. They call me David T. It's not easy for me to see. Sometimes when I have a few drinks, I slip and fall and break my face. Not that my vision was bad enough. Now I have this dull shit scar.
Last chance to get the membership for the Klecko jersey and the G5 signed helmet. If you want a super chat post show, right, in the comment section, you're able to super chat, especially if you do it from your phone. It's very easy. We'll get you in. $20 comment with a super chat, right? 5 memberships, 50, 10, so on and so forth. You get entries in the raffle. We're going to do it sometime next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday next week. We'll have a massive raffle for 2 of the biggest prizes, if not the biggest we've done, and what will now be our 12th Asmaniac raffle since December 1. All right, here we go. Kyle Clifton's next, and then Chris to wrap us up. What's up, Kyle?
Couple of quick hit notes on the head coach and GM carousel. So I don't know if you saw that the Raiders had requested Brandon Brown of the Giants and Chad Alexander, late of the Jets, but most recently of the Chargers.
I saw Alexander. I did not see the first name you mentioned, the guy from the Giants.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about competing with the Raiders for a GM because they're behind us in the process. And I don't really think it's particularly a good job. I think it's really at the bottom rung of the available openings. Also, Brian Greasy, take your Dolphins DNA, get out of here. No use for you to begin with. So for you to refuse an interview with us, who gives a shit? Lastly, what is McCown doing? He's saying that he won't accept. Did he interview as a head coach anywhere else but the Jets or no?
I don't know if anyone requested him besides the Jets right now. Now he had an interview last year for a team. I forget where.
Because I found it kind of weird that he would say that. It kind of feels like maybe he thought that the interview didn't go well and he doesn't want to step on Flores' chances of maybe getting the job in this cycle. So essentially, he's maybe taking himself out of this cycle by putting out ultimatums out there. I don't know why, if he was ambitious, that he wouldn't he would say he wasn't going to entertain OC roles.
Well, maybe it's leverage, right? I think McCown is like, right now I'm only going to be perceived as a head. I want to be taken seriously as a head coaching candidate. Don't think you're just interviewing me to try and then pitch me on joining someone else's staff that you're going to hire. I think that's why.
No, I mean, that could be part of it too, right? Like, it's a way to still indicate interest in the job, but be very plain about your intentions. That's pretty much all I had. Thanks, Jeff.
You still want Matt Nagy?
Do I want Matt Nagy under the right circumstances.
Is it Nagy or Nagy?
You know what? I probably should learn how to pronounce his name if I'm going to want him to sit.
Yeah, if you're going to lead the Nagy coalition, I need you to know the proper pronunciation.
I'm always going to lead the charge for worthy second chances, Jake.
Kyle, great call. Appreciate it. Oh, man. A couple super chats here. How about this? Ron Weiss checking in. Jake, would you trade Brees if the pick was right? Well, what's the pick, Ron? You got to tell me what the pick is. First rounder, I'll definitely do that. Or I'll listen, I should say. I don't know if I'm definitely doing that. And then I'm going to take the running back from Rutgers. No, I'm good. I will put you in the raffle, though, for 5 more entries with this. But to quote Woody Johnson,
thinking is overrated.
And I'm going to do the opposite of that. I'm actually going to think before I trade Brees Hall. You got to tell me what the pick. You got to tell me what the pick is. Ralphie checks in. What's up, Ralphie? Thank you, sir. You're in for 5. I'm in for the raffle. Glenn, head coach, McCown OC. Go back to the beginning of the video. You know what? I'll just play the beginning of it right here. Here's Schefter today on McCown.
Josh McCown's going to be in Minnesota next year unless he gets a head coaching job.
Okay, let's stay in Minnesota. Ty has a question for you.
Unless he gets a head coaching job.
Is that possible or no? You think Josh McCown high up?
And Schefter went on to say that he's definitely a candidate in this cycle, but no head coaching job. Back to Minnesota. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig in Australia is here, baby. Grab the boomerangs. Woo! Good day, you legend. Craig, welcome aboard, my man. Good morning out in Australia. Let's see. Chris G. Close us out, Chris. Here we go. What's up, Chris?
How's it going, Jake?
It's going pretty good, Chris. I can't complain. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good. I mean,
what did you think of Connor Long's haircut? Would you bully him if you guys went to high school together?
No, not bully Connor Long.
Okay. Yeah, you Jet fans got to stick together, okay?
100%. One time I saw a Jet fan in public and I said, "Let's go Jets," and he waved me off.
Wow, that's sad.
Awful. I'm skeptical of getting McCown as head coach because the jump from passing game coordinator to head coach is a lot.
He's not even that. He's the quarterback coach.
He's only the quarterback coach?
Yeah.
My God, no. At that point, just hire McCarthy.
That's what I'm saying. Hire Mike McCarthy over giving Josh McCown this big leap. Like, people are like, well, McCarthy only has 1 Super Bowl. And it's like, we're in hell right now, man. Let's raise our floor, be a respectable team again, end the playoff drought maybe with a guy who's been to the playoffs how many times in his career? Like, Mike McCarthy's a good coach. He's limited. I don't know if you're getting to the top of the mountain with him, but can we worry about getting to the top of the mountain when we can get out of hell first? We're underground right now. We need to get out of the ground before we can start climbing up. That's where we're at.
Exactly. We need to worry about winning a Super Bowl next year. We just need to worry about breaking the playoff drought. And I keep on saying this, giving the talent on this team something to buy into, a foundation. Even a wild card spot is valuable at this point in our franchise.
It's true. I agree.
Any news on the Flores interview?
Nothing. There's really been no news on any of these interviews, though. There haven't been a ton of leaks. That's because everyone who's a leaker got fired.
Yeah. Olbert's getting an interview. It's awful. Awful.
I mean, you're Jeff Olbrich. I'm Woody Johnson. All right.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to reenact the interview. Hey, Jeff, welcome in.
How's it going?
Hey, thanks for the time. Hey, that was the interview. So it's all good.
Yeah. Yep. Even
Anything
though the
else
Jets
on
are
your
off,
mind, Chris?
nothing else on my mind. I was about to say, even though the Jets suck, we have the Jake Asman show and the Knicks, so we're good.
That's right. Well, you're 14, Chris, I think you said?
Yep.
So what is a 14-year-old doing these days on a Friday night?
Probably going to play some Madden with my friend later.
Nice.
Yep. Rebuild
Is
the
Madden
Jets.
still the go-to game? So Madden was definitely, when I was in high school, middle school, Madden for sure. Call of Duty was big. Halo. We'd play NHL a lot, like with the My Player mode. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. My cousins play a lot of video games. They play a lot of NHL. When I go over to their house or they come here, I got to get on that NHL. But it's mostly Madden, and Fortnite's dying, so there's no other good games besides Madden for me.
Hell yeah. All right, Chris. Well, you have a good time, all right?
Good night, Jake.
Chris, farewell. Great call from Chris there. Oh, man. Bad guy Allen saying Chris needs a drink. He's 14, asshole. Come on now. Stop it. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Let's go Knicks tonight. If you're going to the Garden, say hello. There was a guy who recognized me the other day and then called into the show. Was like, I thought that was you. Yeah, say hello. Love meeting people in person. Anyway, I will be back tomorrow. We got a big time show planned for you. Sometime in probably the 11 a.m. hour. So stay tuned for that. A lot to talk about with this team, as usual. Maybe one day we'll be talking about the Jets playing in the divisional round of the playoffs this time of year. Wouldn't that be nice? Hit the like button on your way out of here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'm convinced you're a communist. So if you want to prove you're not, then hit the subscribe button because it is free to do so. Thank you all for your support as always. And since we had Boy Green on, we'll play my favorite Boy Green moment in the history of his show.
So we're going to get into all of it here. Again, my name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We come 2 hours after every final whistle here for the post-game show. And I'm going to be honest. The only good thing that happened to me late tonight, early this morning, was making sweet, passionate love to my fiance, which I did after the article was written and that kind of stuff. That's the only good thing that happened. Not great. Terrible.
Hey, congrats on the sex.